first official lecture. It's on international place branding, and these are real-world examples. They're regarded around the world, I think, now as a sort of prime examples of what to do. Place branding. Why do we want to do place branding? I think the reason is because there's pressure through globalization now. This word globalization has been brought on essentially because of the internet. Everybody's connecting, everybody's talking. Cheaper travel now is making people want to go to different places, and that's the main reason I think place branding started to sort of take off. It's about 20 years old as an actual subject, but people have been doing it forever, but now they put this term on it, so this is what we're talking about. The most iconic sort of example is New York from 1977. New York had a very negative image in the world at the time. They were on the edge of bankruptcy in 1975, and basically the president told them to drop dead. They asked him for money, and he said, no chance. You got no chance of any money. So basically they went to the region, and the New York state took over, and this was the situation there, the city. I actually was in New York in 1977, so these photos are pretty well. So the way they went about it was they got the whole tourism budget, $400,000 they had, that's all they had left in the bank, and they commissioned two marketing agencies to do marketing reports. This was never really done before on a regional or city level, and it laid the foundations of what we do today as an example. This was, I think, a pretty innovative stand for the time, because to risk spending their whole budget on the chance of the information being correct was a big gamble. The job of the marketing agencies basically to assess the potential of corporate retention, keeping businesses in the region, in the city, and to create they needed money, so they needed tourism pretty quick. They did all the exclusive interviews and all the studies that we expect today. And one of the things that came out of it was they created policies for the economic development of the area. So it wasn't just a brand image they were looking at. It's the first time they looked at the whole umbrella of marketing as a complete concept. They then got a professional marketing agency and a design agency, and through all the information, they tried various things before, the Big Apple and everything, but it wasn't really working very well. So they came up with the I Love New York idea, but they didn't have a brand image for this idea at the time. They knew what they wanted to say, but how were they going to say it? So they hired who they thought was the best graphic designer in New York, Milton Glaser, to visualize this concept of I Love New York. And we say we borrow things. Well, quite honestly, they borrowed from Montreal. Montreal had already used the heart in a radio sort of campaign. And it's not stealing anything, it's being inspired. They didn't take the heart the same way. So there's no harm in actually borrowing other people's ideas. And this is Milton Glaser, and that's the logo he came up with. There is a story that he did a few other ideas start off with, and they thought, yeah, they're okay, we'll go with that. And then 2 days later, he wasn't happy with it. 2 days later, he was in a cab, and he was thinking, thought, my God, this is the way to do it. So he came up with this idea, went back to the studio, put it together. He used the American typewriter font, a very simple font, and put the heart. I thought, he said, I know where to put the heart now. And then I Love New York, ILNY, became iconic. Everybody uses this idea now. Every cities around the world use it. But it was just supposed to be a quick campaign, and it's lasted for 30 years. So it's not just a logo. They have a continual program of change now in New York. And it led to, in the 80s, their policy decision, they were the first to start using the broken window policy. You know, the broken window policy is the policy where if something's broken, you fix it straight away. And by fixing it straight away, you don't encourage people to break the other window. They actually implemented this policy on the subway. For 6 years, they were spraying the trains with graffiti, the guys. Every night the train would come in, they had a team of guys spraying the trains clean again to the corporate look. Next day the train would go out, it would come in, and this went on for 6 years. In the end, the guys ran out of paint. They got fed up. They did not think, well, it's not worth spraying it. What's the point in graffiti everywhere? These guys are just going to get rid of it every time. So by persistently sort of continuing their ideas, they got the New York into a shape where people wanted to come back. They wanted to do business there. And until 9/11. 9/11 again, literally brought them down. And Milton Glaser reacted by, I love F New York. So we all know what the F was, but they dropped it. But this is one way that a logo can be adapted. The black area is essentially the position where the Twin Towers were. So that was New York's reaction to a tragedy. They turned it into an opportunity, and it's developed. So the success of that $400,000 has led to a continual, year on, year out, $1.6 billion of tourism spending coming into the city. Okay, that's just a small part of what New York gets, but directly from the I Love New York campaign brings in $1.6 billion. That's a lot of money. And as people move back into the city, the property prices have gone up. So just from one campaign, it's led to all the policy decisions and the ideas, but it was all born out of the initial proper research. So other cities were watching New York, and we in Europe, we're not stupid. We see when we see a good thing, we know what to do. So Amsterdam had an idea. Let's take New York as an example. So Amsterdam were going down the league charts. They thought, well, we're losing ground here. We need to do something about this. We want to sort of make it a more grown-up city for business, for commerce, and okay, we like our drugs, we like our prostitution. It's a great party capital, it's a great cultural centre, but we want more than that. So they formed an organisation called Amsterdam Partners, which was an advisory board. Again, this was a collaboration of public and private sector organisations, all the top organisations in the area. So the whole idea of unity is coming together. They saw New York unified, and they thought, well, we've got to get our act together. Let's get everybody talking from the same song sheet, as they say. They identified 16 dimensions and core values through the research, and they came up with their main ethos of the area, which is creativity, innovation, and its spirit of commerce. And it's the commerce they really wanted to get back. Now this is probably something we can use in the project. It's a spider web graph where they identified all the things they wanted to really sort of excel on. The red ones is where they were at the time, and the black ones is where they wanted to be. So this is a good tool so everybody can visualize actually something where you can go. It's like a way forward. So the process, they got a marketing agency, and this time it was a management consultancy to benchmark the region. They weren't stupid. They didn't have a lot of money. They checked what Berlin was spending. They checked what Brussels was spending, and they came up with a benchmark figure, about 1.75 million euros a year they needed to spend to maintain the momentum of the marketing effort. They got a professional advertising agency in to actually manage the project, because that's what agencies do. They manage branding and things like that. So this led to the policy framework approach, and I Amsterdam, the portrait of a city, was a photographic exhibition that kicked off the whole campaign, and it connected the photos of the city with the logo. This was the logo they came up with. Again, I don't think it's a coincidence that it's black and red. It's strong. I Love New York was black and red, pretty much the same. So they thought, well, if it's not broken, don't fix it. If it works, use it. This is for these guys that got these. So the selfie sticks are becoming fantastic now. This is 2 meters high, this version of their logo. It's in front of the Rijksmuseum, and it's they say 8,000 people a day take a photograph in front of this. That's how powerful this is. This is an extension of New York that Amsterdam have created on their own sense. So New York was starting point. This is how to take it further forward. They've also got another one when people come into the airport, and then they have another one which goes around the city. So everybody that's got a selfie stick can be very happy, they can. But there's a reason to this, because social media are grabbing this. They can't get enough of it. Everybody wants to be in front of the 3 I Amsterdams, not just one. So it gets people to travel around, and it's clever. If you've got an exhibition, you get the I Amsterdam logo and you put it in front of the exhibition. Everybody goes there. You don't have to do posters. You don't have to do a big campaign. You just got this great thing. What's it cost to make one of them? It's a bit of chipboard or something. Anybody can make one. So they did the professional merchandising as normal. So like I Love New York, I Amsterdam. And funny enough, other advertising companies have taken this on. You've got people like I Am Nikon and I Am Windows, and which all came out of this. So it's a sort of a compliment to Amsterdam that other people have copied them as well. One of the points in branding are things called touch points. These are where you come in contact with the brand. Anywhere you come in contact with a brand, a building, a website, Facebook, the social media, they have an app. They've covered all their bases. They've done it. So they've got this complete umbrella strategy. They've got all the marketing tools around it. They've got the policy framework in position to carry it forward. They've got the political will and a buy-in from everybody, the people. So everybody loves this now. So they're actually sort of gone up in the league tables. They've done what they wanted to do. So again, there's another city in Europe, thought, Amsterdam are doing well. We've gone down in the league tables. What have they done that's so great? And Lyon thought, let's have a look at it. So again, they had a desire to improve its image. its economic status, it had a great gastronomy image and a cultural offering. It's got universities, but it never had this package. And they realised by looking at Amsterdam's example, their neighbours almost, saying, well, these guys know what they're doing. We've got to get our act together. We've gone down the league tables now. Amsterdam's gone up. So they needed clarity on the brand image and style. So they used the previous examples to inspire them again. And this time they created a strategy with 13 public and private sector organisations. Their main aims this time was to get rid of the outdated image and to establish their city as a brand. Everybody in France knew Lyon as a great place to go, but they wanted it to be more than nationally, they wanted it international, everybody to know Lyon internationally because of this globalisation effect. So they started to promote the city and its living environment. They had 13 founding partners. Anybody was on this partnership in the area. And they came up with this Only Lyon campaign. Very similar to Amsterdam. Again, the red and the black. But it worked. They again looked at Amsterdam's budget and they allowed 1.6 million euros. So this 1.5 to 2 million budget for a very large city seems to be the necessary sort of funds you have to allocate to make your city work internationally. They had a poster campaign. They put posters in international airports because they thought they want business travellers. They want business tourists. People going to come to Lyon to do business. They will move their business premises here if they like it. They like the food. They like the living, the standard of life. The schools are great. Why not go there? So apart from just travelling on business, they wanted to live there. So they had this place called the Sky Room, and it's in one of their tallest buildings. And they've created this VIP group of top businesses in the area that can buy to go into this. It's like an exclusive centre, but it makes the top business executives seem special. They want business, so they're not embarrassed about saying, yes, guys, we will look after you top guys. If you come to our city, we will make you welcome, and we will give you a special place where you can all network, you can all discuss your problems and golf or whatever it is. But they created this Sky Room. It's a very, very smart building, smart place. And they bring politicians when they come, VIPs from other areas. They take them to the Sky Room, make everybody feel special. So that's quite a nice little thing they've done that's different to the other places. Again, we have a big logo for your selfie people. And what's wrong in copying it again? You know, Amsterdam copied New York's colours. Well, not copied, borrowed. Lyon saw the opportunity of this great iconic sort of symbol about the city, and they you know, being French, why not? It's achieved, now it's recognised by over 10,000 ambassadors worldwide. It's a 25% increase in foreign visitors over 5 years, year on year. It's one of the top 3 most attractive territories in Europe now. And Exesios, which is the travel arm of Expedia, has only just brought this out, and it's come second in the top business travel destinations now. And good old Amsterdam is 15 now, so I think their strategies worked. They wanted just purely business. They've got business. So if you focus on one particular thing as a community, you can achieve exactly what you want. Something slightly different, and not having copied anybody, is Bilbao. It was a city in decline. It was a tired, sorry sort of place. Its steel industry was going. It was a bit like Glasgow in many, many ways. It was like Glasgow. It had a steel and shipbuilding industry, and no real history of tourism. So then they had the flood disaster of 1983, which was a terrible thing, but it sort of did them a favour. It cleared the area. It cleared sort of problems with landowners, because all the negotiations you have to get with people sometimes to get that land, to do this, to do that. I think somebody probably opened the floodgates on purpose and said, whoosh, let's clear it out. So this was an opportunity. The disaster, they turned it into an opportunity. It was a time for change. They created a regional Basque government then, created RIA 2000 in 1992. So by having the name 2000 means they were looking towards the future. It was then a regional idea, not just a local idea, which means they had the whole power base that could sort of do what it needed to do. It's up to now, in probably 20 years, they spent over 120 billion euros in rebuilding the town. People refer to it as the Guggenheim effect. It's much, much more than the Guggenheim effect, what they've done. People will not come just because of one building, I'm sure. They've put the whole infrastructure's changed. They had this strategic plan for revitalisation. They changed the regulations for land use. Before, you could only build certain height. They thought, if we want big people to come here, big companies, we need to, the sky's the limit, literally. So they cleared all the regulations for height limits on buildings and sizes of buildings and shapes of buildings. You could do, it's a bit like China, you could do what you wanted, but it was in Europe. So the architects jumped at it. They've literally had all the top starchitects in the world coming to Bilbao now to build a building. It's just an amazing place. The main vision was to rebuild the image, was urban marketing, and to regenerate all the industrial areas, which they are still doing. I think Hadid now is designing a whole area of regeneration now, and there's been a real appreciation in values. Land values have gone up. So a place that had really gone down, was feeling sorry for itself, had no tourist offer, is now a tourist destination because they've got businesses in there, they've got massive architects. It's been continual though. They started off, they thought, well, if we want all these great things, we need the infrastructure. So they got, who do we go to? We go to one of the best architects that can do an underground. They went to Norman Foster in London. And then they went to the Guggenheim Foundation, who actually are very picky, because they've got cities all the time after them, but they saw their plan that they'd got in place. They saw that the research was there, and they believed that they could do what they said they were going to do. So they invested and put their name into Bilbao, and then after that you've got this Guggenheim effect. But then you've got Calatrava's Bridge. You know, they say, everybody talks about Guggenheim and Frank Gehry, but what about Calatrava? He's designed the airport terminal. He's designed the bridge that goes over towards the Guggenheim. It's just you just can't say enough that they've done. But they've had over 100 billion to do it, not 1.6 million like the other guys. You know, so there is a slight difference in balance. These are the buildings that have been created. That's like when you went in Murcia the other night, you saw a bridge. It's the same guy. Is he from Murcia? Calatrava, no, but he likes Murcia anyway. And this is the airport. So it's a very dynamic city now. Before it, I think it was the 10th largest in Spain. And the only problem is, I've found through my research is, there seems to be two identities. Unlike the other guys that are focused on one identity, they seem to be in this transition still. The one on the left is what they seem to have all the official documents. And now the Basque region, they had a competition, which is not the ideal way to brand a city or to get the brand style of a city, of over 80 companies from 7 countries worldwide to come up with this Be Basque image. And the one on the right is what they're trying to push now. So I think they have a dual identity issue because they haven't stuck to the game plan. Like New York, like Amsterdam, like only Lyon, Bilbao, whether it's a cultural thing where the North Europeans are colder and a little bit more clinical. The Spanish, region is quite hot, quite volatile maybe. I don't know, but it's a different way of thinking, so it's something to consider. Different regions have to do things their own way to make it work. We've discussed. So, to summarise, it's more than just a logo or buzzwords. You need a plan, and you need complete buy-in from everybody, from the residents, from your local communities, from your businesses, from your politicians. But I think like what they've done in Murcia, regionally as well. So if you've got that regional thing, you've got that money, you've got that buy-in, and you've got a common identity for everybody to talk about. And it's all about communication, having a product image, and the promoting of it in various ways. So basically, this is known as place branding. That's the introduction to it all. It's something for us to discuss, especially the spider web type idea. And I think it can be, we can go forward with various things. So, thank you very much. So, nobody fell asleep.